Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today on today's webinar. First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity just to wish you all a happy new year. I hope that you all had a good break over Christmas. And I'd also like to take this opportunity just to thank you all for your continued support throughout 2019. In regards to 2020, it is going to be a very exciting year. Today we're going to be covering our new Wi-Fi 6 or 802.11ax access points, which have recently been released. We have got more being released throughout the year. We've also got some new switches being introduced to the portfolio, which are called multi-gig switches that we'll touch on as well today. And we've also got quite a few changes happening as well, especially on the Nebula platform. You're going to see more products being introduced to the platform and more feature sets as well. So 2020 is going to be a really good year. If you haven't already done so, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. So my name's Daniel Marsh. I am the UK sales engineer for Zyxel Networks UK, primarily dealing with the North. We do have quite a few webinars going ahead throughout this quarter and further on in the year, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and you'll see a list of them come on there when they are available. So thanks again for joining me. So as I've mentioned, we are going to be discussing our 802.11ax access point. So this is a new standard. Previously, it was the 802.11ac. So now as things move on, demands change, the market shifts, we've now introduced the AX access point. So if you have a look at the screen, you'll be able to see the 5 varieties of the AX access points that we've got, along with the estimated sort of release date. They are subject to change, but if you speak to either Zyxel directly or distribution, they'll be able to keep you fully informed of any changes that there are. So currently the WAX650S, which is the one located in the top left-hand corner, has been released and is currently available through distribution. And as you can see, the actual specification of them, it is a dual band access point. So it's a 4x4 antenna, and it supports both 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz. You will notice that it specifies that it's got a multi-gig 1x5 gigabit Ethernet port on it and a 1x1 gigabit Ethernet port on it as well. This is what I mean about the new switches that we've got. So the multi-gig switches will allow you to do faster throughput through traditional cabling, so not having to sort of run fiber everywhere and things like that to be able to get them greater speeds. One of the key features you need to take away as well is that the AX access points, to be able to use all the features, you will require the .BT power, so it does draw a lot more power than the previous access points. So if you are specifying any project, please speak to Zyxel or distribution. They'll be able to point you in the right directions of what switches are required for you to utilize all of the benefits. You'll see that the smart antenna technology has also been introduced to this access point, as well as the fact that it is also available in Nebula as well. So for that management on the cloud, it will also allow you to do an on-premise controller, and it will also allow you to manage it as standalone, just like the rest of our access point range. So as you can see, we've got a bit of a blown up picture here of showing you the actual build quality of the access point itself. So we take great pride in how we build our devices. So we do offer additional sort of shielding and things like there, and like a 4G and a 5G filter to help reduce potential interference in the area. As we know, wireless is susceptible to interference. So as we build our products, we have that in mind, that we want to reduce as much interference as possible, trying to maintain the best user performance we can. So why is 802.11 needed? So Wi-Fi does have its inherent limitations. We know this. So one of the things that we've sort of implemented into it, and it is like an industry standard, is not only being able to transmit to a single client per channel. What we've been able to do is actually improve the technology so it can actually feed multiple clients all at the same time. So it actually speeds up data transmission between the clients and the devices per channel. Limited number of channels, so the amount of frequencies available, that isn't a limitation which has been in previous standards. The network density and bandwidth requirements are also increasing. So as they increase, the wireless technology needs to increase to allow faster throughput, and you'll be pleasantly surprised with the throughput specifications of these access points. Congestion is greater than we think in the real world. Obviously, everything nowadays is internet enabled. You've got the Internet of Things, so cars, smartwatches, mobile phones are obviously all Wi-Fi enabled. So as we move forward into the technology industry, everything is becoming with wireless capabilities. So we need to take note of this and structure our sort of products to compensate and to be able to deal with these in the real world. So the 802.11 protocol, overhead and inefficiency. So there are certain overheads and inefficiencies in regards to this. So, I mean, there's far more contention in the wireless than what you would actually think. And with the 802.11 protocol itself, there's a lot of overheads just to make the functions which we use. And there's ongoing debates both in the US and Europe of how we can use more spectrums. So there's obviously regulations and certain spectrums we can actually use. So we need to utilize what we've got available to us at the moment. So what does the 802.11ax bring and how does it work? So some of the features that it provides you. So it provides you a 10 gig wireless transfer rate. So theoretically, you'll get about 9.6 gigabit wireless transfer. You need to also take note that it does require an AX client to be able to get these better speeds. If you've only got an AC client, then you will only get the AC sort of speeds from it. But technically speaking, it's 4 times greater capacity as well. And it is dual band, so yes, being able to utilize both 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz bands. And while many people have said that the 2.4 gigahertz is too congested and it really has no future, AX will bring more efficiency to the 2.4 gigahertz band and will be helpful for devices with low power requirements, such as the devices like the Internet of Things, the smartwatches. They don't use as much power as what your laptops do or your sort of streaming devices. So with this in mind, we'll see the density in the units without the need for the higher bandwidths. So it's got an 8x8 MIMO, so multi-user MIMO, so being able to provide that on both the downlink and the uplinks. Unlike the AC Wave 2, which only supports the downlink, this allows it to serve up to 8 users simultaneously for a significant capacity boost. The MIMO also benefits the performance of legacy devices, so such as the AC Wave 2 and older devices as well. The OFDMA, so the 802.11ax uses the 4G LTE's proven and foundational OFDMA technology for efficient access. The OFDMA allows multiple users with varying bandwidth needs to be served simultaneously. So it transmits in smaller resources unit, and it also has the ability to increase the range. But we have to remember that the 802.11ax focus is about improving efficiency for density rather than coverage. So we'll briefly touch on how the OFDMA works, as well as the resource units in a few minutes. So the resource unit scheduling, AX uses smaller resource units for transmission, which increases the efficiency over previous standards. As it allows the resource units to be scheduled and allocated by the access point and allow the same channel to be reused. So you're actually using the same sort of channel, but you're being able to actually serve multiple units. So it kind of breaks the channel down. But I've got a diagram that will show you that in a bit more detail and just sort of make it a bit clearer. You'll also be able to maintain the higher modulation rates, so giving approximately around 40% increase for them sort of headline speeds in the same channel space as the previous standards. The color code, so this is quite nice, because what it actually does, it will actually provide a color code so that the actual the client itself knows which access point it's going to. So rather than trying to combat with potential 2 access points in the similar sort of area, when it's authenticated to an access point and it receives its BSS color code, it will actually go straight to that access point without having to potentially think, oh, which access point do I need to go on to, this one or that one. It knows that it gets a better modulation and a better connection from this access point. It's been provided that color code, so it'll go to that access point every time. So the TWT, that stands for target wake up time. This is another important resource scheduling feature as well, supported by the 11AX standard. It allows devices to negotiate when and how often they will wake up and send or receive data. So this actually will actually improve battery life as well, because it's only transmitting data as and when it needs to, not continuously. Okay, if you do have any questions, by the way, we do have a questions and answer section at the end. I've also got my colleague Nigel on, who is monitoring the chat and the question section, so he can potentially proactively answer them for you while I'm running through the presentation. So this is the OFDMA. So on the left hand side, you'll see the previous standards, so the A, N and AC, and showing you on a 20 megahertz channel width. You'll see that each user gets allocated a single slot, and then it will be repeated once all the users have been served. With the new standard, with the wireless AX access points, you'll see that it can actually break down that channel, and it can sort of go as small as 2 megahertz in width. And it means that combined with the uplink and downlink, they'll actually be able to effectively get the data transmitted a lot quicker, and it can handle more users. So the user experience and the transfer of data is much quicker because of how it utilizes the existing channel. So this is a nice little diagram which you might have seen before. So on the left-hand side, you've got the current AC standards on a 20 megahertz channel. And on the right-hand side, you've got the AX resource units in the sort of 20 megahertz channel, which is then broken down. As you can see, you can fit more clients. So the cars or the spaceship on the left hand side is a client, and you've been able to put more clients on the same channel, so you've been able to serve more clients at the same time, again improving the data transmission and the efficiency of the wireless technology. So what are the challenges for AX? So AX really requires AX clients to really benefit. So as I've mentioned before, if you're running an AC wireless network adapter, then you are only going to be able to receive the AC benefits. So you want to be looking at going AX. I think the new Samsung S10, I think it is, that's AX compatible. I think the new iPhone is. And I do know that for like the Dell laptop I use, there are components that you can actually replace and upgrade your wireless card to the AX to benefit from these new access points. So you need more capacity. So as I've mentioned, because you're looking at trying to get 9.6 theoretical wireless speed, if you're running that on a gig network, then you're going to become very congested very quickly. So as I said, we are introducing further products into our line called multi-gig switches, which will allow you to do 100 meg, 1 gig, 2.5 gig, and 5 gig, and even up to 10 gig on traditional cabling, so Cat5e, Cat6 and Cat7, so eliminating the need for having to rerun cables throughout your building for wireless connectivity. You could just pretty much upgrade your access point and your switch, and being able to improve your capacity to a 5 gigabit backbone network. So the more radios and the more CPU power means that the AX also needs more power. So that's why it requires the standard 802.3 BT, which is also called Ultra PoE. So being able to deliver up to 60 watts over a PoE network cable. So early AP releases don't have the full AX, for example, some like the OFDMA functionality at chipset level. So some of you have probably seen in the market during 2019, there have been certain vendors that have gone out there and been like, yeah, we've got AX access points. They are right, they do have an AX access point. However, because of the chipset not being available and it being a chipset limitation, the OFDMA function, so being able to split the channel up between the users and being able to serve multiple users, isn't available on them specific access points, which is why we're releasing it now, having the chipset available. We could have released it last year. with a different chipset, but being able to really benefit from the AX access points, a decision was made to make sure that we have the correct chipset, we have the correct features, we have the OFDMA functionality, and so just make sure you don't get tripped up in any of them situations. And if you need any further advice from any of us in the office, then just feel free to get in touch with us. So obviously I've shown you the actual portfolio in regards to what we've got getting released. So on the screen now, you'll see pretty much where they sit in terms of specification and in terms of the actual portfolio. So if you move up from the NWA 1123AX, you get the AX Plus, then the WAX650D, the 610D, and the 650S. So the S is for smart antenna, and the D stands for dual optimized antenna. So this is being able to sort of mount it on walls and things like that, and having the dual optimized antenna. As you can see, working from the 1123AX, you've got a 1 gigabit port, moving to a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet and a 1 gigabit Ethernet port on the Plus, 1 gigabit Ethernet on the 510D, etc. So as you work through the portfolio, the actual network interface in the unit does increase, meaning that you can increase your backbone network. So if you don't want to go multi-gig switches and you just want to jump onto the AX bandwagon, you could go for the NWA 1123AX, being able to fully utilize them specific requirements as well. And again, everything that we'll be bringing out moving forward will be Nebula enabled. So that's pretty much for the access points with the content that I've got at the moment. We are going to be obviously revising certain features and providing further webinars moving on in regards to this products, and as they get released, I'll be able to introduce them as well, the ones which get released at whatever time they do. So with the multi-gig switches, so just before the new year, we got the XS3800-28, which is available. This isn't a PoE switch when it comes to, so you won't be able to power your access point at the BT standard. So if you use this switch with your access point, you will unfortunately have to get a sort of PoE injector as an accessory as well. But this will allow you to utilize the 4 RJ45 multi-gig ports to be able to get that additional bit of capacity into your network. However, with that in mind, moving forward into February 2020, we are actually looking at releasing our XS1930-10 and -12 HP. Now, these have the multi-gig ports on it, and the 12 HP also has the multi-gig ports with the Ultra PoE feature on it as well. So this is the switch that you're going to want to bundle into your projects if you're wanting to utilize a full AX installation, because it's got the 802.2 BT power, and it's also got the multi-gig ports. So again, increasing the backbone of your network, ensuring the device has the adequate amount of power to be able to give you all the features. And they also have an internal PSU as well. So, and they'll have all the rack mounts and everything with it. And the 12 HP has a surprising 240 watt budget as well. So a very healthy PoE budget as well. So in regards to what I can show you in regards to the AX access points currently and the multi-gig switches, this is currently all I've got for you at the moment. So if you've got any questions or anything like that, then feel free to fire them across to me. On the screen now, you will see the part code for the AX access point. So if you want to look at getting pricing from distribution, if you want to look at ordering them, then feel free to contact your account manager with Inside Distribution, give them this part code, and then you can get the prices on that as well. If you need any further technical discussions for any projects you've got, then myself and Nigel, who are sort of based in the office and available for you, we're always here. We are a support mechanism, not only for our sales team, but also our customers and even end users as well, if you want us to get involved with that. So again, thank you for joining me on today's webinar, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll keep it open for a few minutes just to see if any questions sort of filter through. But again, thanks for joining me. I can see we only have one question through from a John who stated he was only getting a black screen, so I'll have to contact him directly and point him to the recording once it's available. I don't appear to be getting any other questions from yourself, so either I've done a good job of explaining it, or I've lost you all and you're all falling asleep on your desk. So I'm going to end the webinar at this. So again, thank you for joining me today. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. So my name's Daniel Marsh, and if you connect with me, I'm quite active on LinkedIn as well. So if you've got any questions, if you've got any leads, or if you've got any information or anything like that you want to hear about, then feel free to contact me. So Stephen, in regards to your question, give me 10 minutes and I'll give you a call directly and we'll be able to discuss the sort of price point on that.
Thanks very much, Danny.
So yeah, I mean, that seems to be all the sort of questions at the minute. So as I say, any questions or anything, just feel free to contact us. I'm always available to sort of engage with yourselves and end users to make sure that you've got all the information that you need and that any projects that you're working towards are specced up to the best of our abilities. So thanks again for your time, and you have a good rest of the day. We do have a webinar as well coming up in the next sort of week, and then a week after that. So again, feel free to jump on our website and get registered onto them, because you will find that 2020 Zyxel does have a lot to offer in this sort of wireless, cabled, and even our security as well. So thanks again. Bye bye.